Filmmaking has two versions, the one you see on YouTube and the one that actually helps you pay your rent. I'm going to be talking about the second one today. I'm not here to motivate you with old cliches. Instead, what I really want to do is save you time. I used to think if I got good enough or if I bought that new camera and lens, that work would come to me. But that's far from truth. So these are 8 hard truths that most professional filmmakers won't tell you, but are the difference maker in whether you're successful in this career path or not. And fair warning, number 5 and number 8, people fight with me online all the time. I think most people looking to get into this career do it on their own. But the big issue is if you work alone, you're not gonna grow as fast as you'd like. I would not be here right now if it wasn't for my business partner, Mateo. Mateo and I started our video production company in LA together, and he was the business-minded person who actually got us clients, and I was more of the creative person helping to execute on that vision. A simple partnership like that can be exponential for actually growing your filmmaking career. It is tougher because now you have 2 mouths to feed per se, but I do find that showing up to client shoots with more than one person also made us seem more valuable, and we were able to charge more because we were able to show up on set more. It'd be harder to show up to a $10,000 project and just show up alone, although it's definitely possible. But you just need to remember, filmmaking is a team sport. I mean, just look at the end credits of any movie or TV show and you see how many hundreds of people work on a single project. So I want to give you some actionable advice. This week, if you can, reach out to people who complement your skill sets. It doesn't have to be another camera operator. It can be someone who does audio, editing, visual effects, or producing. Connecting with them and working together will allow you to create much better projects than you could just doing it alone. And in turn, will earn you more money. Now, here's where people actually mess this up, because you can come and show up with a team and be ready to execute, but your ego can be limiting your opportunities. Unfortunately, I have met a few filmmakers who have this scarcity mindset. They think if I have a client and I'm working, that means that I'm taking food off of their plate. And it sucks because in person, they can be fairly nice, but you start to get backhanded compliments. Sometimes they can be even hostile or territorial. And all that does is pushes them away from the community. At the end of the day, you can be an amazing filmmaker, but if you have a really negative and nasty attitude, no one's gonna wanna work with you. And people remember how you make them feel. So make meaningful connections. Don't be so hostile and think of other filmmakers as your collaborators. In fact, I love having coffee with all the different filmmakers here in Central Oregon because 1, I like just getting into the community. I like seeing what other people are working on. Everyone's on a different stage of their career, so there are things you can learn from and also people you can even help out. And it doesn't just have to be filmmakers. It can be photographers, graphic designers, web designers, anything like that. The bigger you build this network, the more you can actually get referred to work as well. Because at the end of the day, if they like you and you've shown good quality of work, if they are busy for a job or there's something that they can't execute on, they might send it your way. And in fact, that's how I get a lot of referral work even here in Central Oregon. Remember, people don't refer the most talented person. They refer the person they know, like, and trust. Okay, but even if you're likable, you can still struggle if you don't understand the part of filmmaking that nobody wants to learn. If the word business makes you cringe, then that's not a personality trait, that's a liability. Because unfortunately, if you want to make a career out of this, you need to become business-minded. I was lucky. I had a business partner from the very beginning who was that business-minded person. I mean, Mateo literally handled everything from the formation of the LLC, contracts, cold outreach, warm outreach, and so on. And the truth is, without all of that stuff, filmmaking doesn't become a career, it just becomes an expensive hobby. And I totally get it, because as a creative, business isn't the most exciting subject. But if you want to make a full-time living out of this creative pursuit, then you have to learn at least the fundamentals. There are plenty of books and even YouTube videos, if visual learning is your preferred method, that you can go out and learn from. And that's what I'm always doing. Things like The Future with Chris Do, Gary Vee if you're into that sort of thing, and of course, Alex Hormozi. So if you can this month, learn some very basic principles: pricing, contracts, and outreach. Just with those alone, you'll be ahead of 99% of the competition that isn't business-minded. Now, this next truth is one of the harshest ones that most people fall for. There is this old belief that,
oh, if I'm just good enough, the work will speak for itself and clients will come to me.
That's not how it works in the real world. That may have been true in the past when there was less distractions and you were able to get your portfolio in front of the right people, but in this day and age, people aren't just randomly going online hoping to find the next videographer or filmmaker that they're going to work with. Instead, they hire someone who's going to solve an actual problem that they have. So coming up with an offer that you can give to your clients is how you're going to land them. So reverse engineer based off of your interest, based off of what you're good at and what you're capable of executing on. What is a business problem that you can solve? For most filmmakers, it's going to be something in the marketing realm, right? Because filmmaking is a visual medium and you can use that to run ads, you can make social media content, and of course, update their website content. So if you can this week, send some personalized outreach, actually pitching a direct solution to that client. And don't just spray and pray, actually do some research and see how you can help the other person, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to get you the deal. But before you go out and send those DMs, you need to be aware of this next truth. Clients don't care about how creamy the bokeh is, how shallow your depth of field is, how crisp the image is. They care about actually solving a problem and ultimately getting some result. A gorgeous video is nice to have and I do think can be valuable to some clients, but at the end of the day, if that video isn't getting them more clients, selling more products, or getting them some awareness, then it's not useful, at least in the business realm. Now, this isn't to say you shouldn't be technically proficient and good at your craft, but it's not the most important thing. In fact, being able to create pretty images is just the barrier of entry. What will separate you is the business impact you create. This goes back to learning business fundamentals and how you frame your offers. You want to make sure you're delivering on some sort of outcome for your client. And it's honestly best if you can track that outcome. But now you run into a new problem. Anyone can say they can deliver a solution and solve their problems. But if you can't prove it, it's hard to actually close the deal. That's where this next hard truth comes in. If you don't have proof, then clients just see you as a risk. That's where spec projects come in handy. A spec project is a project you typically do for free that shows off your skills as a filmmaker. Now, where people get wrong with spec project is sort of doing a spec project that is not related to the niche that they're trying to go after. And so you do want to do some research and you want to make sure you're creating a portfolio of work that shows off that you can actually execute what you say you can. So if you do some sort of documentary style branding videos, you may want to create a spec project that is a documentary style brand video for a local business. Not only does this help build confidence in your clients, because now you can send them this spec project and be like, hey, this is what I did for another brand. Here's how I would do it for you guys. You are also getting some extra practice in as well. That was one of the reasons that I started doing spec projects, is because I just wanted to try out new skills, whether it was some new lighting technique or some vintage lens I was shooting on. So having that safe space to practice was great, and it actually helped me land more clients. No matter what you do though, just make sure it's actually relevant to your niche. So if you don't want to do like sports or fashion style stuff, don't create a sport and fashion spec project. Now, this next hard truth is going to save you thousands of dollars if you hear me out. Gear definitely matters, just not the way that most filmmakers think it does. I've been there. I love gear and I talk about it a lot on this channel for that reason. And it's exciting, right? You get to play with something new, you can get a different effect in your video, or you can capture something more with the right light. But at the end of the day, all you need is a few core fundamentals and everything else is extra. Here are the essentials you need: good audio, a decent lighting kit, a camera and a lens, and a tripod. Once you have those core fundamentals, you're able to execute and capture a ton. But unfortunately, a lot of people really focus on getting the latest camera, getting 8K, getting all these extraneous things that don't ultimately help you build up your career. So instead, get those core fundamentals, master them, and then you can start adding some other things, right? Like I have lenses that aren't practical at all, like the one I'm shooting on right now, but I like them. And so if you like something, obviously get it. I'm not here to stop you from living your life. I just want to share some practical advice for saving some money, especially if you want to make a living in this career. And this next hard truth is one that ends careers, not because people aren't talented, but because they jump on too early and get desperate. You probably want to get into this filmmaking career because it is so much more fun and enjoyable than working a basic office 9-to-5 job. But if you do have a full-time job right now, you should actually consider yourself blessed, because this allows you to have a steady stream of income while you build your filmmaking career on the side. I've met a few filmmakers who unfortunately get too hungry to leave their jobs and they quit early and they go full-time on filmmaking and they're unable to support themselves. And so they end up crawling back to some other job that they despise. In fact, I was very lucky that when I started my filmmaking career, I was still living at home, I was still paying rent to my mother, but I didn't have a ton of overhead. I only had to make a few $100s per month to really sustain myself. And so I was able to take my time with Mateo to grow our business into something that can support the life I live now. But if you have no savings and you have no income coming anywhere else, you're gonna start getting desperate. And that desperation is gonna kill your filmmaking career, because you're gonna start doing jobs that underpay. You're gonna not like the craft as much because now you're doing things that you don't want to do, but you're just forced to because, well, it's a paycheck. And all that is going to lead to burnout. So practical advice here is to get an emergency fund. This is a concept that comes from the personal finance space. And all it is the idea that you should have about 6 to 12 months worth of expenses saved up. And this becomes your emergency fund, which is something you can pull funds from in the case of an emergency. So this isn't going to be something you use to buy gear, buy equipment, or anything else like that. This bank account is solely for those slower months when you can't cover all of your rent and utilities and other living costs. You can pull from this fund and you'll be able to support yourself for 6 to 12 months. I know this isn't glamorous or anything, but doing it this way will ensure that you don't end up desperate when you do go full-time as a filmmaker, because now you'll have that runway and you'll be able to make more smarter and strategic decisions that will help you start to create a full-time income with your camera. But I have some good news. If you made it this far in the video, you are likely the type of person who likes learning and growing in their filmmaking career. And that is one of the most important things you need to be successful. And if you follow the advice from these hard truths, I believe you can make it as a full-time filmmaker. What was the hardest truth you heard in this video? Let me know in the comments section below. And if you have any other questions around filmmaking and making it your career, leave it in the comments section and I'll do my best to make a video on it. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. I appreciate every single one of you who do, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.